The Simpsons. Every sitcom eventually collapses under one of three things: actors aging, writers running out of ideas, or the audience moving on. The Simpsons broke all three rules, and then rewrote the book on TV longevity. 35 seasons, more than 750 episodes, a show older than the internet, modern streaming, and most of its viewers. This record is unbreakable for one reason: timing. The Simpsons launched in 1989, when three networks controlled America and primetime TV still felt like a national event. Once it became a hit, it locked itself into pop culture during a moment when nothing could compete with it. Then, it evolved like a machine. Animation meant no cast member ever aged out. No contract disputes over, "I don't want to play this character anymore." No aging sets. No recasting risks. Homer never gets wrinkles. Marge never goes gray. Bart is permanently 10 years old, trapped in a loop that protects the show from real-world decay. Meanwhile, every live-action sitcom faces gravity. Actors grow up, get tired, get busy, or leave. But Springfield? Frozen in time. And this is where the record becomes truly immortal. Modern TV fragmentation killed the idea of long-running shows. Netflix cancellations, algorithm decisions, declining attention spans. No sitcom today survives past season 5 unless it's a miracle. The Simpsons sits on a mountain built during a different era, and everyone else is trying to climb it with streaming-era oxygen. This number is not just big, it's untouchable. The Big Bang Theory, a record born from a perfect storm that will never form again. By season 8, The Big Bang Theory had become the last true ratings giant of the broadcast era, pulling 16 to 20 million viewers every Thursday like it was still the 1990s. CBS couldn't afford to lose the cast, so the network did something insane. They wrote checks that matched Friends-level history. $1 million per episode, per actor, not just Parsons. The entire core cast hit megastar salaries that made headlines around the world. Why is this record unbreakable? Because Hollywood's economy collapsed right after. Streaming changed everything. Shows became shorter. Budgets became tighter. Studios replaced giant ensemble salaries with cheaper, limited-run contracts. There is no world zero where a sitcom cast in 2030 is earning $6 to $7 million per episode combined. Networks don't have the money. Streaming platforms don't have the patience. Audiences don't watch live TV in giant waves anymore. TBBT lived in the last window where you could still become a Thursday night empire, and CBS paid them like royalty because they were the empire. Today's sitcoms, they don't get raises. They get canceled. This record is locked forever. Friends, 52 million people, one night, one ending. Half of America turned on the same episode at the same time. Nothing like that will ever happen again. The world is too divided, too digital, too on-demand. The Friends finale wasn't television. It was a cultural ritual. Restaurants hosted watch parties. Bars put the episode on projectors. Universities stopped classes early. People recorded it on VHS like it was a wedding. Why did this record become unbreakable? Because 2004 was the final breathing moment of monoculture. No streaming. No spoilers on Twitter. No binge watching, no fragmented viewership. If you cared about something, you watched it live because everyone else was watching it live. Rachel's plane, Ross's confession, Monica and Chandler's goodbye, Joey trying not to fall apart, the keys on the counter, the final coffee. Today's finales get scattered across platforms, time zones, countries, and weeks. 5 million viewers is considered a hit. 52 million? That requires a world that no longer exists. This record isn't just unbreakable, it's a fossil from a time when TV could freeze the entire planet for 22 minutes. MASH, this isn't just a sitcom record. This is a number so huge it beats World Series games, NBA Finals, and almost every Super Bowl that isn't in the last decade. 106 million Americans watched the final episode of MASH Live. Not over a week, not over a month, not on streaming. One broadcast, one night. To break this record today, a sitcom finale would need to beat YouTube, beat TikTok, beat Netflix, beat every streaming service, beat every smartphone distraction, beat the fact that nobody watches TV live any more impossible. What made this moment colossal was the era. 1983 was the last stretch of genuine appointment television. There were only 3 major networks, and MASH was the kind of show that united grandparents, parents, and kids at the same time. It was anti-war, emotional, funny, dark, and culturally massive. People stopped traffic during the final commercial breaks. New York reportedly had one of the biggest water usage spikes in history because millions used the bathroom at the same time between segments. This wasn't a finale. It was a national event. And in a world where audiences are scattered across 1,000 screens, nothing will ever pull 106 million people together again for a sitcom. Frasier, 37 Emmys, 37. A number so outrageous, it makes modern sitcoms look like school projects. Frasier dominated the Emmys in a way that's mathematically impossible today. It won Outstanding Comedy Series 5 years in a row, tying the all-time streak, and then kept collecting awards for writing, acting, directing, editing, and sound. But here's why this record is locked forever. The industry that made this possible is gone. The 90s and early 2000s had fewer prestige comedies competing. There were no Netflix dramedies pretending to be sitcoms, no HBO half-hours confusing categories, no genre hybrids dividing votes. A pure sitcom could dominate an entire category because viewers and critics actually watched the same shows. Today, comedy is fragmented. Half the submissions aren't even comedies. They're sad dramas with 3 jokes per episode. Nobody is sweeping 5 straight seasons again. Nobody is winning 37 trophies. Nobody is controlling the Emmys across an entire decade. Frasier didn't just win awards. It operated in the perfect era to crush everyone else. Its intellectual humor, sharp writing, and elite cast created a prestige bubble modern sitcoms can't recreate. This record is gone, untouchable, a relic of a world where one sitcom could dominate TV's entire award system with pure craftsmanship. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Most sitcoms die from one of 3 things. The cast gets older, the writers burn out, the ratings collapse. It's Always Sunny defeated all 3 by refusing to behave like a normal sitcom. 20 seasons, a live-action show, no laugh track, no network hand-holding, no sentimental lessons, just 5 characters who've gotten worse. On purpose, every year. This record is unbreakable because no modern sitcom can survive this long without becoming stale. But Sunny avoided death by doing something genius. It never allowed its characters to evolve. While every sitcom tries to teach lessons, Sunny weaponized the opposite. The gang stays toxic, stays chaotic, stays terrible. And because they never grow, the show never ages. FX also gave them a freedom no modern network would ever allow. There was no pressure to hit mass ratings, no pressure to soften characters, no pressure to chase trends. The show survived by ignoring every rule Hollywood uses to measure success. Most sitcoms decline around season 6. Sunny hits season 16 and drops Charlie Work, a near-perfect one-shot episode. Season 20, still pushing boundaries. In a world where streaming shows get canceled after season 2 for algorithmic underperformance, a 20-season sitcom is impossible. Sunny didn't break the record. It burned the ladder behind it. Seinfeld. Every sitcom hopes to make good syndication money. Seinfeld didn't make good money. It made industry-breaking, universe-bending money that no sitcom will ever touch again. Across all deals, TBS, Hulu, Netflix, international markets, and cable reruns, Seinfeld has generated over $3.1 billion in syndication revenue. Not gross earnings. Syndication alone. Netflix paid nearly $500 million just for streaming rights for a show that ended in 1998. Why is this record untouchable? Because syndication itself is dying. Modern sitcoms don't air on cable long enough to become daily rerun staples. Comedy today lives on Netflix, where shows vanish after a few years of hype. Reruns don't dominate living rooms the way Seinfeld did. People didn't watch Seinfeld once. They watched it 500 times. It became the backbone of every cable schedule, a cultural utility. Like electricity, there will never be another sitcom with that kind of rerun value, because there will never be another media landscape that runs one show 6 hours a day for 20 years. This isn't just a record. It's a goldmine buried in an era that no longer exists. The Office. Netflix has millions of choices, billions of viewing hours, endless genres, and despite all that, for 4 straight years, The Office beat everything. Dramas, action series, new releases, anime, reality TV, to become the most streamed show in the world. In 2020 alone, Americans watched 57 billion minutes of The Office. That's 108,000 years of viewing in 12 months. No sitcom will ever match that domination. And here's why. Streaming is now fragmented. People jump between platforms. Nobody stays long enough to give one show dominance. But The Office dropped into Netflix at the perfect moment. The binge era was exploding. streaming. People wanted short episodes. Background TV became essential. Workplace humor never aged. It became comfort food for a generation. Students watched it while studying. Adults watched it while cooking. Workers watched it on repeat to escape real offices. And once Peacock took it back, the spell broke. Streaming lost its monoculture moment. No show will ever sit on one platform long enough to dominate metrics the way The Office did. This wasn't normal popularity. It was cultural therapy at global scale. Unrepeatable. Cheers. Spin-offs usually fail. Most collapse after one season or become watered-down versions of the original. But Cheers did something no other sitcom has replicated. It created Frasier, a spin-off that didn't just succeed. It surpassed the original in awards, longevity, and critical acclaim. Frasier won 37 Emmys. Cheers won 28. Frasier ran for 11 seasons. Cheers ran for 11 too. But Frasier maintained higher critical prestige. Frasier became the gold standard for adult comedy long after Cheers ended. Why is this record unbreakable? Because the sitcom ecosystem changed. Studios don't gamble on spin-offs unless they're IP extensions. Audiences don't follow characters across decades. Streaming platforms don't fund long, slow-burn comedies. For a spin-off to outperform its parent show today, it would need the original cast's blessing, a perfect lead character, elite writing, zero studio interference, multi-decade viewer loyalty. That alignment no longer exists. Frasier wasn't a fluke. It was the last time lightning struck the same universe twice. No sitcom since has produced a spin-off that became even half as acclaimed. Cheers created a monster hit. Frasier turned it into a dynasty. That combo is extinct. I Love Lucy. This isn't just a sitcom record. It's a domination statistic that no modern show in any genre can ever come close to. In 1953, I Love Lucy aired Lucy Goes to the Hospital, the episode where Lucy Ricardo gives birth. 71% of all televisions in America were tuned into the same sitcom at the same time. That's not a rating. That's a national shutdown. Today, a hit show gets 5 to 7 million viewers. Football barely cracks 20-25% of TVs. Nothing hits 40%, let alone 71%. Why is this record unbreakable? Because the world that made it possible is dead. There were only a handful of channels. Television was a communal ritual. People arranged dinner, phone calls, and entire evenings around the broadcast schedule. Birth episodes mattered because characters felt like real family in real time. And the Lucy baby episode wasn't just hype. It was synchronized with Lucille Ball's real pregnancy. America wasn't watching fiction. They were watching a cultural mother go through a moment the entire nation emotionally invested in. Today, audiences aren't unified. They're fractured across streaming, TikTok, gaming, YouTube, and infinite on-demand content. There will never be another sitcom episode watched by 3 out of every 4 TV-owning households. Lucy didn't break a record. She created one that humanity aged out of. Modern Family. You can win Emmys. You can even sweep a year. But dominating the entire comedy category for 5 consecutive years? That requires a level of cultural positioning that no sitcom can replicate anymore. From 2010 to 2014, Modern Family didn't just win. It steamrolled the category. Every season premiere was an event. Every finale was dissected. The show became the emotional voice of America's evolving family structure. But this record is untouchable because the landscape changed. The Emmys are now split between network comedies, streaming dramedies, HBO half-hours, intense genre hybrids, limited series comedies, one-season experimental shows. Competition isn't just fierce, it's chaotic. A pure network sitcom can no longer dominate critics, internet culture, and award voters simultaneously. Modern Family thrived at the exact intersection of network TV still being culturally strong, streaming still being young, social media still being positive, representation movements rising, ensemble sitcoms still being appointment viewing. No show will ever stand in that perfect intersection again. 5 straight wins wasn't luck. It was timing and cultural momentum that simply can't be recreated in today's fractured media world. 2.5 Men. Charlie Sheen's meltdown didn't just break headlines. It broke the sitcom economy. After Sheen's firing, CBS signed Ashton Kutcher to replace him for an unprecedented salary package. It wasn't wasn't just a raise. It was a historic emergency contract, pulling a movie star into a sitcom for a deal so large, networks refused to disclose exact numbers for years. No sitcom has ever experienced a mid-show financial spike like this. Cast replacements normally tank ratings, shows collapse, studios retreat. But Two and a Half Men did something impossible. It stayed a top-rated show after losing its lead actor, and paid Hollywood blockbuster money to make it happen. Why is this record unbreakable? Because no network today would dare risk this level of expenditure. Streaming shows don't have the ratings to justify mega contracts. Studios prefer canceling overspending. Movie stars don't jump into sitcoms mid-season anymore. And no modern comedy has the cultural footprint that would force a network to open the vault in panic mode. This was the perfect storm. A scandal big enough to threaten a billion-dollar franchise, paired with an era where network TV was still strong enough to fight for survival. It won't happen again. No sitcom will ever have a crisis this expensive or a rescue plan this dramatic.